if I make it clear, and they know I'm seeing other chicks, I still can't get rid of that guilt for like feeling like I'm dogging them or something.
The thing is, we feel guilty when we fuck people over. So
Yeah,
if you might be doing something not the way I do it, you know what I mean? Like you might be lying to
yeah,
her in a way that anybody would feel guilty, right? So what are you telling her? What's the situation? Like basically, how many girls are we talking about that you felt guilty over? Like when you say a general feeling, then I can't give you an answer. But if you say like specific, I'm
yeah.
dating this chick now, she's 19 or 25 or whatever, and I told her this, and she said that, and like, what's the situation? So just a quick nutshell, because
Sure.
you're not going to feel the same with every girl in every situation. What's the thing that's causing you that pain, or did it happen twice, or just so I can kind of understand?
Yeah. So the last two, I was seeing this chick who was 26, and I told her on the first date, like, hey, look, I travel. This, I'm going to be moving to Mexico soon, so this is not going to be, you know, um, turning into anything serious.
Okay,
Um,
let me just stop you there. So telling a chick that is not what I don't do that. That's not something recommended. But and also too, girls don't listen to that anyway. That's why I don't tell them. Like you can logically tell a girl every time I meet a girl, I could tell her, "Hey, I'm not serious about marriage. I don't want kids or whatever." I mean, I do like kids, but if I told her that, right, then
mhm.
the girl only hears that this guy is planning on with other girls not having kids. But for me, he's going to fall in love. So they don't even take it seriously. Like they don't even give a shit what you say because
Yeah,
they know you might change your mind, right? Every guy changes his
yeah,
mind. Every guy, I mean, think about it. Just like theologically think for a second. So you meet a girl, right, in a club, and whatever you tell her, what the fuck does it matter? Because you might fall in love with her and have kids and be married. Just think of the generation of World War II veterans. Okay, just take it out of today's category. When they met a girl the first time, did they know what was going to happen? They had no fucking idea. So anything they said didn't matter at all. So the girls,
mhm.
when you tell them, "Oh, I'm going to do this," or I plan this, or I'm not going to do that, it doesn't mean anything. They don't even listen. Okay, so you think, "Oh, I'm telling her the truth," and so that way I won't feel guilty because not going to be, solid and stay. And then, so I'm getting off the hook, is what you're thinking, right? Because I told her. Telling her doesn't mean
Yeah,
shit because yeah, okay, that's what he thinks on the first date. Well, whatever.
mm,
So when I was young, I thought, oh, I tell the girl, and then she can't get mad because I told her. It doesn't mean fucking shit
yeah,
because yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Like you're kidding yourself because you're an illogical human being, right? Who changes his mind, right? It's like when you go to school. Oh, I'm going to be a business major. How the fuck do you know? You have no idea what you're going to.
right, right.
You're going to change your mind 40 times, right? Which is normal, right? Until you find something you really like, right? So, yeah, that the girls that doesn't get you off the hook, and it doesn't. There's no reason to even fucking say shit. I just fucking bone the chick, okay? I don't tell her anything because it doesn't matter. As you make a decision, then you can tell her, right? So when you're going to Mexico, you say, hey, I thought about it. I'm going to go to Mexico in 2 weeks. I'll be gone for a month. And then it's up to her to decide. Does she want to fly over there and hang out? Do you want her to come? Is she going to wait for you? Is she going to willing to come to Asia? You just, you fucking don't see. The thing is you're not like a corporate guy that you don't know your schedule. Okay. So you don't know, okay, I'm going to be in, Paris until the 15th of December. Then I'm going to be in January. Like those guys, they have a schedule, right? So you can tell the girl, okay, here's what I'm going to be doing. But you don't have a schedule. So you're basically just trying to get off the hook. Okay. And
Yeah,
it,
totally.
and it doesn't work. Okay. Because you got to deal with things in the moment and you don't have a schedule. You're trying to get out of it. Just just accept the fact that you know that you can't fix these girls. You're not there to fix all the girls. And if they get upset, they will get upset. Things do happen, And what you want to do is just be yourself, strong guy cruising around doing his things, and tell the girls, you don't want to deliberately deceive them in a way that you're going to feel bad and that's not right. So I think that's what people, implementing these things is a lot different than just saying them. So when I tell people, they don't hear what I'm saying, right? And so for you, since you signed up for Unblackmailable, right? It's like I can give you a breakdown, but like you can see right away, like 99% of people listening to the channel, they don't know how to implement the idea. I'm telling them, but they don't have the experience to hear what I'm saying, right? So the first thing is stop telling girls stuff to get out of things because it's not working. You're not doing it right. I would say, why were you telling the girls this? Like, what was the point of telling that girl that you're going to Mexico?
I think you hit it, man, because chicks fall for me. And I think, I know what's coming. I've got a pretty good radar and a selector to filter out the crazy ones and gold diggers. So the ones I do like end up getting on a first date with, like they're cool as fuck, and like dude, all the past chicks I've had in like the last 4 years just absolutely fall head over heels for me, and so it makes me feel guilty when I know I don't. This isn't going to be, something long term, and I know that's what they want, and maybe it's down to just me. Hey, I got to separate. They want what they want, and that's cool, and I'm living my life, and that's not going to happen. And I can internalize that and not express it to them.
How do you know what they want? I mean, the thing is like,
and it's not at the first date.
No, but let me say this. Like,
sure.
Even Albert Einstein does not know how a woman's mind works. Okay, so girls love. Like, why do they read all these books, all these love stories, all these what do they call romantic novels or whatever? In these novels, what she thinks she doesn't want always happens. The guy, comes into town, he leaves, and she cries, and it's like there's all these emotions they go through in these books, right? And these are romantic novels are the number one selling book in the world of any book, more than any scientific journal, any Lords of the Rings, the Bible, the Quran. Like nothing compares to women's romantic novels. That's like the number one publishing. Like if you look at the publishing industry, over half is these novels that guys don't even know about. Okay, guys haven't read one of them. They've never seen a cover of one. They don't even know anything about this whole thing. But most books are these books. So women love whatever's in these books, right? And what's in these books? If you read them, it's like I went and read them, and it's basically lost love and torn and crying and strong emotions and this and that, right? And so you think that they want you to marry them, right? Maybe they fucking don't. Like maybe you're wrong. Maybe they love getting dropped and fucking things being hard and always loving you and marrying some other guy. You're like, who fucking knows? I mean, you think women, right? That's basically, I know I'm not going to nail you down too much, but this is like you as in all guys, we think, oh, I know what they want. I know what they're thinking. I'm going to do the right thing. You don't know. They fucking are crazy. I've had women, like the ones that fall the most in love with me. I mean, I just don't want anything to do with them almost, and they just love it. They just fucking chase me for like decades. And I'm not kidding, like forever. So you got to get realistic about knowing what they want. And the other thing is too, is as a, you got to decide, right? If you're going to be a simp for life, then you do what they want and you can try to explain everything to them and they'll manipulate you and they'll win and everything. But if you're going to want to break out of that, then you have to change your thinking. So I don't know what they want. I have no fucking clue. I just see them. I treat them a certain way. I am very nice to them. And it's hard to say just in one call, right? But
Right.
I'm starting to think this is like an episode worth putting up online. This is like getting good. So I basically, let's see. So I meet a girl and she likes me. And so I maximize everything we do together so that we have a great time, right? It's like romantic. It's like sexy. She's like laughing. We're having so much fun. And the way I do that is by not caving into what she wants, but like, like limiting the time we spend together. So I might, okay, so she thinks, okay, that she wants me on call all the time, okay? And she thinks she wants to meet me every day. But if we do meet every day, from my experience, is often the case, is like pretty much all the time, they get bored. So, and also too, I get bored and I don't really want to fuck them that much if they're always around, like if they're living with me, okay? Whereas if I meet them once a week, then I give them a chance to miss me. I give them a chance to kind of be alone and have. It's like that song "On My Own" in Les Mis, right? She's saying, basically, I love the guy most when I'm not with him. Okay, and what that means is not when he's broken up with her, but like she misses you and thinks about you and loves you. I mean, this is generally. I'm not saying I know everything about women, but I'm saying like this is a deeper truth, okay, for sure, than just listening to what they say and thinking that's going to make them happy. Like whether this is 100% right every single time, no, but like I can tell you this is a better path, okay, is knowing the women's brain. They love certain things, and you have to kind of like sometimes, like the dog, for example, the dog wants to eat all day, right? But if he does, he's not going to be happy because he'll be too full. He's going to get bloated. He's going to get fat. And so there, we think we want something, and it's often not what we want, right? So the way that you do that as a man is you think about, okay, I am the one deciding things in this relationship, like not everything, obviously, you're not in control of her, but you're the leader. There's always a leader, right, in every relationship. So you're the captain of the ship, and I mean, of course, it's a rickety ship and things change and everything, but basically you're the captain, right? And so you're just like, okay, well, what's the best thing for the ship? What's the best way to do this, as a guy, right? So the best thing is when I'm with girls, like, for example, I can be very sappy. Like, I love to lay around. I like to be, I love to, like, be very, what do you call it? Like, I'll like to fall asleep, like, hugging them after we have sex.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
not every time, but a lot of times, and then if it happens too many times, then after a while, like, their head feels, I wake up in the middle of the night, their head feels, like my arm's like asleep, because their head's on it. And so at some point, that will disappear. But in the beginning, I just feel this kind of like wanting to be very close and very, when I'm with them, like very loving and everything. And so I kind of go with that. That's kind of my nature. And then girls, they love that. And then as time passes, those moments are a little more sparse, but they're still there. So I'll, and the girl knows, oh, this is happening now, okay. And it hasn't happened for a while. So I basically be myself at the same time as I know that if I overwhelm her, she's going to get bored. That's the way girls are. So I will meet her once a week or so, like not necessarily every time once a week. Sometimes I'll meet her. If I have several girls, I'll have one girl that's like, basically they're all on a ranking in my mind all the time, right? So who's number one right now? Who's number two? Who's number three? Whoever's number one generally gets the weekend with me. If we're gonna, because I like to go away for the weekend, right? So then I'll have the one girl that comes away for the weekend, and then if a new girl comes in, even though she's not number one, if she's hot, and the relationship is hot, then I'll take her for a weekend just to kind of give her a taste, And then she'll like have a romantic weekend. We'll be laughing and it'll be so great. She'll be like, oh my God, she'll tell her friends. But then after that, it doesn't necessarily mean I'll give her the weekend all the time, right? So, I mean, obviously I won't, right? The other girls are going to get the weekend, right? And so they kind of like learn that the better they are, the more time they're going to get, or the more romantic time they're going to get, right? And so it gives them motivation to want to be good girls, right? And then they do. And then there's a point in every relationship where that, what do you call it? Romantic period, or that time, I guess, I don't know what you call it, but era or epoch.
Honeymoon phase?
What's that?
Yeah. Honeymoon phase?
No. It's just that time when you're in that mode, I don't like those kind of words because they're just not helpful. Like basically when I feel that way about them, and she feels that way about you, then that kind of like will naturally, my feelings will slowly mellow out, and sure, her feelings too. And then if it's like one of those relationships that lasts longer, like some of my relationships will last 10 years, the girl, I'll have other girls, but they'll last for 10 years with one girl, or several years, like a year, 2 years, 3 years. It depends, right? So then they will open the door. They will kind of open the door that like, oh, okay. Even though the kind of the nuclear hot phase is over, I'm totally down with you. Like I like you still. Like I'm cool with us going into this new phase. If the girl gives me that kind of vibe, then I keep, we still stay together, right? And if she's like, no, it's not hot, I'm out of here, I let her regain or keep her human dignity and make a decision to go or whatever, right? She can say, oh, I don't want this. And I can say, okay, well, that's fine, right? So I am feeling in the moment, how does it feel? And it's not that complicated. It's like you turn on a movie, it's not funny, you turn it off, right? So I'm just saying, be in touch with what's going on, and then I allow it to go into a different phase, or I allow her to leave, right? So I'm not really leaving her. So for example, if I met a girl like that you met, I would just say, oh, hey, how's it going, blah, 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 and I'm not going to give her any kind of lecture about what's going to happen in the future or anything, because that's just boring. And she's not listening anyway, because she knows that once a guy falls in love, everything changes. So there's no need to. Now, if you have something you need to tell her, like let's say you're going to go for 5 years to Saudi Arabia in a month, then that's different, right? Then you probably got to tell her, right? But if you're not sure and she's not sure, and I mean, who knows if the chick is like super fucking cool. Let's say I was in the States. I met a girl. She was super cool, and I was thinking of going to Mexico in a month. I'm not going to tell her because I'm not quite sure. And then if the girl is like super fucking cool, right? Then I might tell her, hey, I'm thinking of going to Mexico next month for like 6 weeks. You ever been to Mexico? And then I said, maybe you can stop by when I'm over there. Let me, I'll get over there and I'll get my bearings and stuff. And then she's like, oh, I want to come. And then, I want to make tortillas, and she's all fired up. Then I might say, okay, cool. Well, let's do this. Let me, I'll do my thing. I'll get over there. I'll suss it out. And then, and as I got there, okay, I'm going to kind of think about how my life is going, right? I might meet a new Mexican girl or something, right? But then I think about it. I think about the girl and I look at her text, how cool she's being. And I think, you know what? It would be kind of fun if she was around for like a week, just to kind of see where we would go together in a sense, because you don't know, right? Some chicks can be super cool. Guys, they think they know everything, and then they just make these decisions, and then they're sad, right? Because they're like, I should have kept her around, right? So I just let reality, I keep in touch with how I feel. I keep in touch with how she's acting. And if she starts being super mean all of a sudden, like, oh, you didn't tell me you're going to Mexico, and you say, well, I wasn't sure, what are you talking about? And then I think to myself, wait, I wouldn't even say that. I would just be like, whoa, she's suddenly changing. She's suddenly not being so cool. And then I would be like, oh, yeah, this there's no way we can evolve together, right? Whereas another girl, she'll be like, because if you date enough girls, you realize there's so many different types, right? In so many situations. Some girls are quite adventurous, and they'll be like, oh, I'd love to go, blah, 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 like I want to learn how to make, like I said, make some chicharron, quesadillas or whatever. I want to make tortillas. I'd love to do whatever you want to do over there, basically. And I'd love to like cook and learn how to cook. And like, then I say, oh, come on over, and then she flies over and I'll usually go to the airport, and then just meet her and then have a little romantic time. And it kind of brings you back into that beginning romance period again. And then you're cruising around and then she's laughing all the time and you're having fun and great sex. And, you're not spending any money because you got an apartment. It's like, it's not costing you big money. She flew over. It didn't cost you anything. And then she's all like lovey-dovey and everything. And then she goes home and then she's like, I miss you so much, blah, blah, blah. All normal, all natural. And then I'll just feel where it's going. So, for example, the way possibilities it could go, the girl could say is like, I want to see you again. I can't wait to go back. I'm saving my money. I got time off and blah, blah, blah. She starts talking like that. And you think, well, fuck, that was super fun, right? I had a great time with her when she was here, and you might be dating a Mexican girl too, but like this other girl comes and it's like fun, right? She's like different. And let's say she's a super cool chick, right? And she proves herself, to you as like, she's more than just a girl in your hometown. She's like, this girl's got possibilities for being more international, for being more flexible and fun in different situations. That's a different level, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, this chick is pretty fucking cool, right? So then I wait. Then she's like, I want to come back. I'm going to come back and see you, let's go climb that mountain. And then she knows a little bit about Mexico and she's like all fired up reading the travel books. And then I think to myself, wow, that was, so she comes back and then she's got all these like good ideas. Like, let's say she's got good ideas, right? She's actually thinking about you, okay, or thinking about me. And she's like, knows my personality better now, right? She knows what I like to eat. And she's actually like making these little romantic ideas that are kind of congruent with the way I spend money and the way I think. Then I'm like, whoa, this chick is pretty fucking cool, right? Like, okay. So I'm like, oh, this chick is like fitting in, like in this is pretty cool, right? This is pretty cool. So then I'll let her come over, right? And then I'll kind of see where it goes, right? And then usually what happens with most girls is most girls will say at some point, it's just a farce, right? They're just pretending anything they need to in order to get something from you. So you decide to do something. So have a kid, marry, or whatever. And other girls, they actually are kind of playful and they're really having fun and they're still girls and they might still have some kind of what is it called? It's like a big decision. It was in the Predatory Female. It's like the ultimatum. They might have some kind of ultimatum. But at the same time, like as I live a very interesting life. And when girls see that, there's quite a few girls who really enjoy being around me. They see kind of the Ronin way in a way, and they really like it. They're like having a great time. They realize like, wow, I never knew you could have so much fun and not spend that much money and like just be so carefree and have time and sun on your face and like my life's been so stressful, like what have I been doing? Like, and they kind of like they open up, and what that is that's a chick who is something like me, you know. And those kind of chicks I'm pretty stoked on. Like I'm stoked on getting them going in life, in their new way of thinking about it, because they might end up being like, you know, a travel blogger or just doing their thing somewhere, right? So they're grooving, right? They're grooving with me. They're grooving with my lifestyle. They're not. They might have a little ultimatum here and there, but it's not too heavy. It's not, you know, they're not going to freak out when I don't, you know, because they'll realize I'm kind of a free spirit kind of person. So they'll be like, oh, I see what this guy's doing. He's like he's probably dating a Mexican chick, but he digs on me too. And like, maybe I'll win with this guy. And so they try, and then I'm being pretty open with them. So I'm not like fully lying to them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not telling them about the other girls, but at the same time, they can, you know what I mean? I'm not like closing it down and just straight up just cold faced lying and saying you're the one, you know. So I'm not saying that. So the girl kind of thinks, okay, I see what this guy's about. And then at some point, you know, let's say they get to be older, like 26, then their parents might be wanting to get married, and they might want to get married, and then they might, you know, they might kind of bring an ultimatum to me or whatever, and say, you know, I'm turning 26. My parents really wanted me to get married. They're very conservative. They're from this country or whatever, and that's when I say, you know, baby, you know, basically I let them know that they're really fucking awesome. Like I can see, it's almost like, you know, you got the movie and then you got the trailer, you know, or the review of the movie kind of, and I kind of like let them know, like, here's like a review of what we've done. Like we've done so many cool things, and I saw you change, and I saw you grow, and you know, you really are good at making this and doing this, and I just had a great time with you, and like, I think you're a great girl, to be honest. But this is when they're kind of giving the ultimatum. Okay, then, okay, the jig is up at that point. So, in the sense that if I lie to them at that point, then I'm lying to them. Okay. Until then, it's like you're playing this, you're basically doing the mating game. You know, the bird puts up his feathers, and there's all these things that humans do in this illogical, emotional mating game period. But there's also when girls really need something. Okay, they might need medical care. They have to get married before their grandmother dies if they're from a conservative family or something, right? And at that point, I'll be very straightforward. Okay, I will totally change. And I'll know that it's going to ruin everything. But at the same time, I care about them. Like, this chick was totally cool. And I'll just tell her, I'll say, you know, that like, you're the coolest chick. And like, I got to say, like, it's been great being with you, you know. And I think as much as I care about you, I just kind of like, you know, like that song Brandy, you know, the sea is calling, right? And I just gotta, I'm a sailor, right? I just gotta, you know, like I just don't feel, you know, I gotta go to the sea, right? And the girl will understand is that you're not saying like, if you lie to a girl at that point, the girl's gonna be very hurt, okay? Because she's trusting you, okay, as the captain. And if you're saying, hey baby, you know, I'll come home and I'd love to meet your grandma. If you're saying stuff like that and then you start dating a Mexican girl and stop, I mean, the girls, forget about the revenge she might get, but just about yourself as a man, how are you going to feel? So I wait until it's time. And then, and I'm sure, okay, I don't just spout off stuff the first date that I'm not sure about. But once I know who she is and the circumstance, then it's the time to get really honest, you know. And then I'll say, you know, like, I think, you know, I think that, you know, like I really don't, even though you are super awesome, you know, like I really need to be free. I really want to keep traveling, and I really thought about it, like, and I mean that, like, because maybe, like Ronin guys, maybe you will change. Maybe you will want to have a family. Like, you don't know. Okay, I'm not saying you will, but I mean, guys do. I don't want anybody to feel regret. I don't know who you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure every guy what he wants. For myself, I'm always confident that things are going to work out, and I don't want to get married. But a lot of guys, if they meet a really great girl, they tested her in every way, and the family loves them, and everything is great, and they think, you know what? What's the risk? I want to, especially if the girl's family is wealthy or something, where they're not really risking money. A young guy might say, you know what? It's worth it for me because I don't really lose, and I get kids, and then I can always, if it doesn't work out, I still won, right? Because I got kids, and I'm not going to have to pay because, I mean, their family's like way wealthier than I am. So there are circumstances where the guy could decide that maybe it is smart to roll with that one. But for me, it's just never been, I've always, at the end, like a sailor, I always want to go to the sea, and I feel emotions and everything. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that I am living the life that I'm living. So don't tell girls when you're not sure, okay? And wait until you know them enough to even share stuff like that. Like, there's no reason for you. You're just oversharing when you just tell a girl right away you're going, I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to, it's like you're basically keeping her away. Like, they say that people smoke is a way to keep people away from them because there's a fire, right? So what is the most dangerous thing in man's history? Fire, right? So, it's like, don't get too close to me. Like, that doesn't work. Like, I let them get close, okay? I'm not afraid of being close because I'm not a bad guy. Like, I keep in touch with how she feels and how she is. And I know that some little speech that's not going to resolve me. That's not going to absolve me from being dishonest. Okay. And at the same time, here's the complicated part for guys, especially guys with no experience of women, is that the phase of seduction is very illogical. Okay. And people are somewhat fragile at some level, right? So I think it's good to navigate those waters, not just for the relationship, but for you as a man. Like, part of being alive, like a lot of guys, they get hurt. They're on like a big tail channel, and so they say, well, I'm never going to feel all those emotions again because they're too dangerous. Like, they basically, like, that illogical, irrational part of life is just like too no good. Like, I'm just logical now, and here's what I'm going to do, and here's what. That's the wrong lesson. The lesson is that as a human, right? Okay, so let's just think of like something like the pioneers working. Let's talk about guys working in mines. Okay, so there's a lot of guys in Australia working in mines, and they're on the channel too. There's a lot of guys out in the outback. They make tons of money. They work 7 days a week, and they're like, for 4 months, life is like living hell. Like, literally, they just work all the time, always in the dark. It just sucks. But they make a ton of money. They come back, then they go back, and that's what they do. They work in the mining industry in the outback. And the pay is really good. And some of them just blow the money on drugs and gambling. Other guys save. The guys on this channel, they tend to save and have tons of money. And yet, as a guy is in that mode, what does he need? He needs levity. He needs to laugh. And so, for him, maybe having a glass of wine or a few beers and watching a comedy with a couple friends, or, like, could be like almost like life-saving. Because he on Saturday night, him and his friends, they just fucking laugh, right? It's because laughter is totally illogical. There's nothing like, why is humor funny? Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, fuck. Nobody can explain it, really. It's like idiots try to explain illogical things, like emotional things. But there's no logic. Sometimes things are just hilarious. Growing up, me and my brother, somebody would just say something. We would just look at each other and we're just like busting out laughing. And the guy would not know why. That we would know based on something else, right? So it's emotional. It's scary. It's out of our wheelhouse. But as a man, we need this. We need emotion. We need laughter to be a well-rounded person. And we need like the feelings of human touch and all that shit. And the craziness of women. It's something that gives us understanding, and being able to navigate these things gives us something that is very rare for us, but it's important. It's very important. It's the same feeling as like when you care about a pet, or you know what I mean? They're like things like that. Like, they're just illogical, but they're important for men, especially because we don't tend to go there as much. So you as a guy, and this is what a lot of channels, they're just by young guys who don't have much experience. They don't really understand that. They have no idea about human experience, but long term. But you need that, okay? You fucking need that. This will round you out. Well, you'll end up being a experienced man who knows where lines are and everything, right? So go ahead and allow yourself to fall into these things, to go into these things, and then and like keep in touch with where you're at. Because if you never, like, for example, like now you're calling me and stuff, and so we're able to navigate this one thing, but you need to keep doing this. You're like, so that you don't do something you regret. As you get into this emotional thing, you can do things you really fucking regret. Like, I know a guy was dating this girl, and he wasn't, he was like basically driving by her house all the time without saying hi, blah, blah, blah. Well, she killed herself, right? And that's a true story.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, life is complicated, right? So you don't want to be screwed over, right? And you don't want to never experience things. And you're not, he's not guilty for that, but there are, our actions affect people. So you have to be aware that everybody's human and weak and all that, right? So, allow yourself to experience things, but, just keep in touch. Well, where should I be on this one? Like, what? Let me think here. Okay. And then try to like explain it as honestly as you can, right? And we can do like another episode as something else comes up. And then these stories will give you kind of the DNA for being able to lay out the next story, right? You'll be able to say, oh, okay, I see what's going on. Like, slowly you'll start to build your emotional understanding of life, because that's kind of what you're doing with women. Is you're building like, what do I need to do? What do I not need to do? Because there are things that you can do that are not good and you will really feel bad about. So you don't want that. At least you don't want to do that with no reason, right? Sometimes you have to, like, there's just some people are just messed up, And I'll just give you one last one. Because so there was a girl I saw one time, and I met her. I don't know how old she was, but for the country we were in, she was a little bit past, kind of like the fresh age. She was probably like 30 or something, maybe, or 29, 31. And I met her, and she wasn't like super hot, but she was pleasant, and she had a nice smile, and she had a pleasant face. and she had kind of like a gaze or something, whatever it was. And so anyway, so then I met her, and then one thing led to another, and we ended up going back to her apartment and just having some great sex. And then it just suddenly became like a Ronin weekend. Like me and her I ended up staying the whole weekend, right? And we had a great time the whole time. And we were laughing and cooking and just teasing each other. Like it was a really great time, actually. And then at the end, I said, I'm gonna take off. It was Sunday night, and I had something I usually do on Sunday night. I said, I'm gonna go to this thing. And then she just suddenly out of nowhere, and this is what happens when you open yourself up. You'll see that you'll be able to read what is normal for a girl and what is not normal, right? And I had enough experience that I could decipher. So she said, if you leave, basically I'm going to take the rope, right? And I said, I gave her a chance. I just said, you understand, I'm just going to do this thing that I always do, like on Sunday night. Like this is my normal thing, like, And then she said, she basically said the same thing. And I realized that, oh, okay, there's definitely some problems with this one, right? And I knew that a lot of guys would say, oh, screw her. But at the same time, I know people are sensitive, right? Like a girl that would say that has been through some trauma, okay? No question. Yeah. There's no question. And a girl has been through trauma, I can't fix that trauma, okay? Unfortunately. Okay, so I went through my spidey sense, and I looked at her, and I thought the best thing is to say what I'm going to say. And I said the perfect thing. I looked at her super friendly. I didn't get, I didn't get weird. I didn't look down on her. I said, look, I'm going to go to my meeting. Do what you got to do. But I think I might have said something like, I think you're a good girl and I don't recommend that. And I looked at her like I really meant that. Like I don't recommend that. Like I'm not whoever caused this problem for you. Like I'm not this person that doesn't care. Like I care, okay? But I'm not going to go down that road with a girl. Like those type of things are that was such an extreme story. So extreme and so out of nowhere. It's the only one. Like we're talking first weekend together. And so I just, yeah, it was for me it was, but not for her. And I realized I needed to be very calm, but also very, very clear. I wasn't like, putting her down. I wasn't saying, I just said in a very non-emotional tone, is like, I go to this meeting every week, basically. This is what I do. I'm going to go to my meeting, as I always do. And I don't recommend that you do something extreme, but at the same time, you're free to do what you need to do. And I never met her again, but because of the circumstances we were in, I kind of would have known if anything would have happened, So I think it was the perfect thing to say. And I think the way she looked at me, she knew it was over, and she knew that she messed up. And I think she had enough trauma that even though she was like pretty stoked to me, I was kind of surprised she didn't call me back, to be honest, because usually those ones, they really stick with me because they realize that I'm able to navigate the world of emotions, the seas of, the crazy seas of emotions. And at the same time, I'm able to navigate business and my life. Like I'm not afraid of either one. I'm able to be there, right? And also to be with, and also to care, because I cared about her enough to say, hey, look, I really don't want you to do, like, basically, but I didn't say that. I just said, do what you got to do, but I really don't recommend it. You're a great girl. And that non-emotional reaction, if I would have left and said you're pathetic or, anything like that, she might have done it. You know what I mean? Like this, it was a very unusual situation. I think, now I could be wrong, but I believe that I defused the bomb for her. Like I basically defused. She's not going to do that again. Because she realized she lost hanging out with me. Because she was embarrassed about what she said. I don't think, in other words, I don't think she was that broken. I don't think she was like doing that with every guy. I think she had a really great time. And she just had been left before. Maybe her father had died young or something. She had some serious attachment trauma. And, that is something she needs to work on her own, right? And she wasn't in any position to be navigating those romantic seas at that moment. You know what I mean? So I think it's a balance of where you need to take responsibility for things and at the same time be true to yourself. Don't overshare too early because you don't fucking know what you're going to do, right? You do not know. Like, who knows what's going to happen? You think you're going to Mexico, but what if when this call finishes, you get an email saying that you're getting, there's someone who's giving you your dream job offer that you never expected, or through one of your friends, that you're going to be making, $500,000 a year, whatever, doing some creative job that, whatever, I don't know, but you don't know what's going to happen. And maybe your mom's going to be sick and you're not going to be able to go anywhere. Maybe there's another outbreak of some kind of COVID in China. Maybe there's going to be another lockdown. Who knows, right? Like, you don't even know what the world's going to allow you to do, right? So you're going to Mexico. It's kind of a lie in a way because you don't know, right? So I would give up on trying to be in the moment with people. Tell them as you're sure, care about people. While you're able to be emotional, right, to navigate those seas, not be afraid of it, and not pushing people away like that cigarette. At the same time, when things are really hard, you're ready to be there for them and just talk straight. Because there's a time to talk really straight. And then you can go back into the emotional stuff. Like that's the funny thing. Is I can tell a girl, I can be like, no. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. And here's the reason. Okay? So don't ask me that. Right? And then I can just say, I can wait, see her reaction. She's like, she looks at me like almost appreciative that I nailed it. Like I had to be honest at that point. And then we look at each other and then it's all up in the air. Like what's going to happen, right? You're kind of waiting, like a pause in a play. And then somehow sometimes with the cool chicks, it just goes right back into being fun. Like she's like, oh, this guy's fun. He's flexible. He's honest when it needs to be. And he doesn't hold grudges, And then the girls are like, fuck, this guy's cool. This guy's a fucking great guy to be with. And then even if they break up with you, you'll have girls who will still be friendly with you. And some girls are just so broken. And I'm sure some guys, I don't, obviously that's not our thing, dating guys. But I mean, I'm sure people are broken but when you're talking about dating chicks, like some chicks are just broken and like they just had very difficult things happen to them. And I appreciate that. I can't fix that. I don't exaggerate my abilities. Once in a while, I can save someone's life. There's no question. I've done that before. But, we all have limits. You try to your best, And I think that's the attitude that will get you far with any girl. And then when it's time to tell her something, okay, when you're sure, then you will know. And you might even want to text me or say, hey, I'm I'm thinking of telling her this now, and then here's why, and then I might say, yeah, that does make sense, why not tell her? And then when you tell her, you're going to be able to tell her in a nuanced way. So, for example, just totally out of the blue, but let's just say, for example, let's say you and this girl are having a great time, okay, and you're going to Mexico. Then I would tell her something like, I was thinking of going to Mexico before I met you, but I wasn't sure. And I was thinking I was going to go, but I never thought I was going to meet somebody like you. That never crossed my mind. I was thinking, well, I might date some girl and happen with this other one and this other one, but I just didn't expect that I was going to fall, into this situation, which I feel is very awesome. I think you're fucking great. I never expected to meet you, right? I never expected this to happen. And here's the situation is I'm going to Mexico now and I totally dig you, basically. So, I'm open to whatever, to navigating this thing, but, and then the girl's like, yeah, I feel the same way. I never expected to meet you. I dated all these guys on Tinder, whatever. This never happened. And so I totally understand. And then the girl's understanding, if you tell her the truth and you are digging and you're correctly gauging her emotions, then she's going to be like, yeah, girls are better at emotions. And they'll be like, yeah, we never know these things, right? She might even say something totally wise, we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And when I met you, I had no idea how I was going to feel, what was going to happen. And whoa, I really dig on you. And I get where you're coming from on this one. And I don't know what I'm going to say or do yet. And then say, yeah, that's good. Think about it. And I'm going to think, and then you can let it pause. And then she says, I don't know what's going to happen, but I would like to visit you in Mexico once, or you could say, once you're there and you've been there for a while and you're talking all the time there and she's all stoked, you say, why don't you come over and make a few tortillas or something? Let's go cruise around. And then she's like, I'd love to. And then she comes and you're again navigating what can happen, just so you can kind of get this as a possibility in your mind, is she could be totally go native, right? Be totally stoked on Mexico, want to get into university, study Spanish. She might want to get into cooking classes and learn Mexican cuisine, or she might, whatever, that could happen where she really wants to move to Mexico. And then you got to navigate that, because sometimes I will open the world to a girl that isn't about me so much, but it's more about the world. So I might take a girl all the time to the beach and then open her up to a lifetime of being loving the ocean and being a girl who has gone from a city girl to a real, surfer chick. And so I'm always aware, is this strong emotion she has about me, is it about the things that I'm opening to her, the worlds I'm opening, or is it about me? Or is it about both? And how much, what percentage? Yeah. So if the chick is she's totally stoked on Mexico and you've just opened her eyes and now she wants to travel and to go to Peru and everything, then I let her come over, right, and do her thing. And I also let her slowly drift away, right? As she finds a Mexican guy or whatever, she goes on to Peru and starts a travel blog or whatever, and I don't try to hold her, and I keep in touch with where she's going. And I let her kind of grow in her own way. Or if she's getting super, super serious about me and it's just a facade, I have some sympathy for that. Just like the girl who talked about ending it all, right? I have some sympathy, because sometimes a girl's so in love with you, she can't even see straight. And she's doing all these things about Mexico, but it really is not her. It's she just loves you so much in the moment that she's going to give up any job and any situation and, get disowned by her family or whatever. And that's when at some time, there's a time when I need to like say, baby, I see, I see how much you love me. Like, I see what you're doing. I know you're so, I can feel your authenticity and sincerity. Like, it's so obvious. Like, you were fucking great girl. Like, you were fucking like a dream girl. But I got to tell you, like, I don't want you to throw away everything because I really am the sailor who's going to keep sailing the seas, you know? And I think, you know, before you do this big thing that I know, I mean, go feel your own feelings. But what I feel is that you are just so in love that you're willing to like do these things in Mexico but it's more about me than Mexico, even though you know, you have your, you know, obviously you're really, I've opened the world to you and you're really enjoying it. But what percent is that? And what percent is really just not wanting to lose me? And I don't want you to hurt yourself, like basically. Like, I think you're an awesome chick. And I appreciate, like, I really feel your love. Like, it's like so real. And I don't want you to throw it all away because, you know, really, this was more like a romance novel in the end. I won't say that, but, you know, like, I love you so much, but at the same time, like, I am that sailor going to sea. And then just think about it, and I'll give her some time, you know. And then she'll be like, I know. And then she'll love you forever because she'll, you know, you are not afraid of yourself, right? You're allowed to go there, but at the same time, you are kind of watching because not every girl is like this Machiavellian. You know, a lot of guys, the reason why they can't have any kind of ambiguity in thinking about women, the reason why is because they're so afraid of emotions in themselves. And I think one of the keys is that emotions are super powerful, but I'm not afraid of them. Don't be afraid of them, but at the same time, don't ignore them, right? We need laughter. We need emotion. We need touch. We need caring, you know. That doesn't mean we need to do X, Y, Z either, you know. Like, that doesn't mean you need to marry the chick, right? You know, just because you really dig on her and you want kids or whatever, you know, you still have to say, wait, you know, is this the right one to have kids with, right? Or whatever. You know, like nothing, I guess what I'm saying is nothing, emotions don't mean you have to do things. And that's what guys get confused about. Is they're like, oh, if I feel these emotions, then I got to do all this stuff. And what I'm saying is like, you can really enjoy and feel your emotions if you don't let them bully you around. Like, I'll go through my emotions. I'll go through the navigating those seas. But at the same time, I will always remember, like, I'll be able to like say, okay, so I feel this way, that, and then be able to talk to some people, some friends, and then to navigate it and say, you know what? I don't need to make this decision, but fuck, I never thought I would feel this strong. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is crazy. Life is just crazy, you know? And I appreciate life. I appreciate, you know, emotions and friendship and love and touch and care for animals and, intrigue and surprise and you know, these feelings are really the spice of life, you know. It's like bread and garlic bread, right? So, you know, there's this meme where the girl's like totally flat but she's pretty cute, and then it says bread.
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah.
And the chick with the rack, and then it's like garlic bread, like
Yeah.
like it's kind of the garlic bread of life. Like, yeah, they're both women and everything, but there's something very much more exciting there. So, you know, I think that's about it right there. So, you know, you're gonna be able to, if you really digest this, you're gonna be able to take this and start writing notes about what's really going on with things for yourself, and then bring them back and say, hey, I really thought about it. I listened to that again, and I really thought about it. And I think here's really what's going on. So it's up to you now to take this and say, like, where am I at on this very it's like really like an issue. What do you call it? It's almost like Alex Huxley's doors of perception. You have these doors and you open them up, and it's like one of them is this emotional roller coaster, life, feeling, affection, fear, all these, and you go in the door, right? And you experience it, and you do it in a way where you keep yourself, but you allow other people to keep themselves. And you realize that you will make mistakes, and then you can, if you make a mistake, you can apologize, but also just know the seriousness of it, like that girl, right? My friends, so just know that you're living in real life here. Women are not some kind of straw man, always doing this, always, you're going to find, especially as you travel, and your value's a little higher, you're going to be surprised by things. Things are going to surprise you, and challenges will surprise you, and quality of girls will surprise you. Because when you're in, like, now that you're going to Mexico and come into Thailand, like, and that will probably be the beginning of Asia, right, for you, not just the end, right? And you'll start to see more. Maybe you'll come to a Japan summit, like that really opens your eyes to the world. And so as you delve deeper into that side of life, then different kinds of girls liking you and being fundamentally different, right? The way they think and act. And so you will, and your value being a little higher or lower depending on where you go, that will give you options you never thought before. That's why travel is so important, is because you realize, I'm for some reason getting more options here or less options. I have a higher, and you'll realize at some point you have a higher or a lower value depending on where you are. And then you'll realize, oh man, I thought the world was only this. And it wasn't necessarily because of, living in Canada or living in America or the UK or whatever, Israel, wherever you are now. It's just that in that area, and that you had one social value, and in other areas you have different social values, and all of a sudden, boom, like new things open up, and then you have to go through the emotions on that. Like, what do I think about that? Because sometimes, when you get new options, you just want to take them, just because they're there. But what would a high value guy do with that? And that's where you kind of like call again, and we talk again, and like you can kind of, you'll start to get better at facing and navigating these things. And then also what comes finally out of this is wisdom and intuition, where you'll be able to be kind of a rock for your friends and for girls and for people around you, right? Because you'll kind of just know, like, you'll have an instinct about what's the right thing to do. And then when in a hundredth of a second, you'll do it, it'll be over. And then you'll be like, oh my God, where did that come from? And where that came from was you're working those muscles, you're being honest with yourself, you're facing things, and you're doing your very best to not let's see. I mean, you see the fragility of life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Crazy things can happen in life. Like, there's so many, I don't even want to get into like sad stories, but like it can really, like, emotions can cause a child to just run out in the street. You know what I mean? Like, emotions can cause actions that can't be taken back. So we need to be aware of the effect we have on others too, right? you want to do your best. Of course, you're not responsible, but at the end of the day, you will have, if you have a conscience and normal, loving person, you'll realize that, damn, like everybody's so, what do you call it, like fragile in a way. You know what I mean? Like people are, and so you kind of like can respect that, and then you can give them whatever it will allow them. Because part of what I try to do with girls or friends is I'm honest with them, but I give them enough space to be able to absorb it and let it be them and not someone telling them. Like where they have the space to say, wait, I see what's going on. I see what I want to do. And I don't want to do this. I want to do that because I just feel some kind of hope, and then they go off on a different path. And so you need to, like, I can't just tell them because again, they're emotional. It's this illogical world that I'm talking, like this dark sea, that you're navigating, and you just get pretty good at it. And then with yourself too, you'll realize like there's times when you just need a break, like sometimes you just get too wound up and you just got to tell people like, I just need time to myself. And you'll know yourself well enough to say that at the right time, not as a boundary. You know what I mean? You're not like making these boundaries, concrete boundaries. You're just like in the moment. Like I had to do this recently with somebody where I just said like, like we're around each other too much. This is not normal. It's not healthy. And I need fucking space. And it was like very specific. And the person totally understood because they're looking at me like, yeah. And they didn't know how to do it. And then that let the pressure valve off for me. Because I'm the kind of guy that as more of an extrovert, I can be around people a lot. But I mean, not every day for 5 months, 24. I mean, there's no way, right? I need, and only I know where that line is. But there are times when I need to say, no, I need space. I need fucking space. I mean, I don't care what the reason is. I just fucking need space, right? I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just sit around in the park by myself. I don't know. But I need space to allow. It's like when you shake those Christmas things and the snow comes and goes down. I need to let the snow come down and then see where I'm at. What do I really feel? Because sometimes emotion's stronger than I think. And I need to get away from the person, right? Because there's something I'm ignoring that they're doing that's not good. And other times they're like a great person. And it just takes time for me to say, look, I can't let suffocating time together. There's no reason to let that destroy what is a good thing, like good friendship, right? Or a good, good experience, right? So I learned to protect myself while listening to and like being like the rock for other people. So I think that's the ultimate goal. So would the rock just tell a girl everything that's going to happen and this is why I'm doing this and stay away from? No. The rock would be comfortable. And then if the girl came to him and said, I didn't know you're going to, then the rock has already thought about it. So you can just talk to her really straight and say, it'll just come out naturally. Whatever your speech is, like in this case, like, baby, when I met you, I had no idea, A, who you were, B, how we were going to groove together. And like, I got to tell you, I really enjoy you. Like I've just had a great time here and there and there. I don't know what's going to happen, but I totally digging on you. Right now, I pretty much got to go because I've decided to go on a couple of trips. But like, just so you know, like I feel this and this and this. No, whatever that's going to lead to, I don't know. but that's kind of how life is. You never know how you're going to feel, right? And I'm just totally digging on you, and I think you're fucking awesome. So maybe we can work something out, maybe we can't, but I had no way of knowing how awesome you are, basically. Because most people I would just meet and we would just, be together for a weekend and then things would happen, and with you, it's been more flexible. It's been more awesome. So I don't know where it's going to lead. Fuck, I don't know. I don't want to deceive you, you know, but nobody knows the future, you know. But you're fucking awesome. Maybe it would be cool if we could do something, and then maybe ask her if she's like looking at you like a puppy dog. Say, have you ever traveled? Why don't you come visit me? Why don't you come over and just say hi? And we'll see how it goes. Because sometimes like a friendship will be great in one ecosystem and it'll be totally wrong in another. Like some people, they go to a foreign country and they're just like germaphobes, right? They're just like, they can't wash their hands enough. Everything's too dirty. They can't deal with the locals or something, the heat or, and then you realize that person was super awesome in that circumstance. And then in this other part of life, which is important to you, they don't jive, right? And just I'll end on this. Like, so I said this before, but I got one friend and he's a cool guy, but the only thing we ever really get along with is we both love watching musicals, right? So we try to do a lot of stuff together, and we still do some things like once in a while. One time we went hunting each other with BB guns, and we had a great time. And like we had these huge welts on his face and on my ass, and we got shot. And it was a blast. We were just hunting each other with BB guns, like real full-on BB guns, no eye protection, and we just hunted each other. It was fucking blast. And we were like shooting each other, right? And it fucking hurts, right? And BB's really fucking hurt. But it was a fucking blast. Like afterwards, we were laughing our asses off. And it was like this kind of primal thing. And we had a great time doing that. We had a great time doing a couple other things like throwing rocks. Both of us love to throw rocks. Like we fucking throwing rocks. That guy's got a better arm than me, but we both love throwing rocks. And the other thing is watching musicals, right? So he loves musicals and I love musicals. So if it's one of those things, right? Now, I don't want to hunt him anymore because that was just in the moment. But it was super fun. I got to say, it was super fucking exciting. It was like paintball with guns. It was fucking fun, dude. And but it was a moment, right? And we both grooved on it, But then the other thing is musicals and throwing rocks. So if we're by a lake or something, we can skip rocks, or if there's something we can throw in the air and throw rocks at it to hit it, then I can dig on, like in the desert, where there's a lot of rocks to throw. That would be great, hanging out with him. But a lot of things we just don't. He's very liberal. He's very. We just don't. A lot of things we just don't groove on, right? So talking about politics wouldn't be a good thing, and talking about I don't know, even comedy, like it just doesn't. We just think different things are funny, and he likes like super heavy metal music, which I, just constant heavy metal music early in the morning. It just doesn't. That's not. So I found that as long as I know myself and I know the chemistry of a person, a friendship, then we can do those things together. And some people go beyond that. They're not just friends with three things: throwing rocks, hunting each other, and musicals. There's other things, like they might really enjoy something else. And so the relationship can go farther, right? And so I let nature decide that. And I just keep track of it. And I just realize, oh, this is a person that I can have a great time with, but only in this thing. And this other guy, this other person, this other girl, I can, we really both kind of have the same spirit about this. And other people, it's just like, I feel like we can almost experience any discussion or brainstorm or whatever. And then also, just actually, I should end on this, is I also realize, let's just say there's a guy, a friend or a girl that you can just groove on anything with. Okay. Like you really like a science, history, piecing out a conspiracy, if it's true or not, travel, humor, what else would be something would be there would be something that would be really fun. Exercise, like yoga and whatever.
Hiking,
What's that?
hiking.
Yeah, hiking. Yeah, right. Like climbing, hardcore rock climbing, something. And then suddenly something happens where not only do we not do those things, but like nothing works, and it's time to move on. Like I've had friends who were just great friends, and then suddenly they just leave for some reason, and nothing. When there's no fight, I don't know. I don't know if they were faking it the whole time or what, but suddenly I've had friends who they just turn off, they just disappear, and I don't know. But so some friends have limited things. Some people like they never fit in. Other people they fit in certain areas, and other people they fit in a wide variety. And some people fit in a wide variety for a season, and then that season ends, and then someone else comes in that fits in. So I just kind of keep track. I be aware of those dynamics, and I'm ready to navigate because I realize some people they just, for whatever reason, they just don't want to be friends with you anymore. I don't know what's going on. I think some of them fall into depression and some other vice, or they maybe had a more like unstable base than me, and they put on a mask of something which really wasn't them or something or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just kind of am ready for anything, basically. Not just with girls, but like with life and work friendships and friendships. So really, this is really talking about much more than just women. It's just like human relationships, and when to tell people, when to say, because sometimes you with a friend, you'll just get to a level where you just see that they can't see something that you see in them, and you have to you'll realize as the rock, you'll realize that, what, even though I never say stuff to this guy, I can see this is one of those things I better say something. And then I might say, I know I see you struggling with this. And as a friend, I want to tell you, I think I've seen you before, and I think you really don't help yourself when you do this kind of thing, because I can see now I could be wrong. Obviously, I'm just telling you from the outside, but I see you regret and doing this over and over. So I don't know if that's like a pattern that you want to fix, or if it's something that, something else. But I wanted to point it out that I saw how happy you were before doing this. And now I see you going through this other thing and then being happy again. So why not be happy, right? And then sometimes people will say, God, thank you. Because sometimes when you become close to another human or dog or animal, you get to it's almost like a deep well of emotion. You're down deep in the well, right? And no one else gets there. So you might be one of the few people in their life that is able to tell them this thing and then give them the feedback. So I am aware if I see something and I see a friend struggling, I will go ahead and say something, right? And sometimes that can be extremely valuable for them because they, it's very difficult to see yourself, right? So I just, yeah, and other people can see it, right? And so you're in there. It's not that you're a genius, like you might have something that he can see, right? But don't overstep this one. I'm only doing it when I really feel it. And you will learn how to feel these things. You will. You'll be like, yeah, it's one of these things. Like, I better point this out, and you could even say like really dramatic things, like I really think I've watched it, and I could be wrong, but I really think your brother is trying to harm you. I don't think he really has your best interest in mind. I saw him do this, and he's like, but he did that, and then he did that, and I see. I don't think you can see it, and I could be wrong too, but what I see is this. And of course, I'm not going to say anything else, but that's I just wanted to, as a good friend, as close, is that I wanted to say my perspective from what I've seen, and just, I care about you, and I just, maybe nobody else, would be privy to that conversation, and I was there, so I thought I would feed that back to you. And of course, I don't, whatever, this is your life, and I'm not, you're just giving feedback. And then that, I'll tell you, any good friend, that kind of feedback is fucking gold. I mean, it's just, it's so valuable, because I appreciate it. And I tell you, my girlfriends have given me great feedback too. They'll the ones that care about me, they'll say, because they're close, right? Again, they're down in the well, right? Emotionally. And sometimes the girls will say, you always act, this way, like you might act tough in this way. But I think that I know you better, and I realize that you're actually even tougher than that, but you're like this kind of tough. Like, here's where you really shine. And I think you're not helping yourself by doing this other one, because I think your strength comes from over here. And then I look at the girl, I'm just like, how the fuck did you know that? Like, some girls are really good at navigating emotion. I've had girls giving me, girls that I didn't even know that long, and sometimes a long time, but give me very deep insights into myself. Very deep insights. I even had, a girl on my Facebook. Okay, this is a girl that I was very close to in junior high school. So we're talking 77, 78. And then I knew her in high school, same high school, but I don't remember we were in this homeroom class, But she said, I had made a video, like a long video on one of my other channels. And the guy said, get to the point, you're just going on and on. And then she said, she goes, Paul's always been like that. And I was like amazed that she remembered this from 1978, She said, you've always been where you think through talking, and you figure things out, and you take in information, and then you figure it out while you're talking to somebody or talking to yourself. And I was like, how the fuck did this girl notice this? It turns out that she had always loved me, right? I didn't know that. I had no idea, actually. She was just another girl in class. I knew she was cool. She was a cool chick. But she told me, and later, and I was amazed that she was able to say that, because that is how I think. And I sometimes can't see myself, right? When she said that, it became more real to me, if you can believe it. I figure myself out through other people too. So I open myself, and then other people see that. It is potentially possible someone on the Ronin Man channel could give me a deep insight to myself that I didn't know, or could give words to a ethereal thing that I didn't really trust, but as they give words to it, I could say, oh my God, that is so fucking true. And so by giving words to it, it almost allows me to hold on to it rather than it just like a ghost flying by me, And then I can analyze it, right? Because someone else said the words and they put it in succinct, clear verbiage. And I say, fuck, that's so true. Like actually, it's almost like a radio. They're grabbing a radio wave that's flying by and just saying, yeah, here it is, and then I can study and analyze it because it's been stopped now, right? And then I often, it is like so deep. So life, your greatest insights don't necessarily come from deep things. They might come from somebody you just met. They might come from somebody you met in 78. They might come from somebody listening to you from afar. You never know. So I want to grow, and I want to learn, and I want to experience. So that's my journey. And so navigating these things with girls is no problem because I know myself. So because I'm not lying to myself like most guys, and I'm not trying to keep away, I'm afraid of things, keep people away. If I, let's say, get caught doing something that I don't feel right about, I can accept it because I could say, you know what? And I'll get, I date, and I hang out with friends who are willing to talk about deep things. So I might say to the girl, you know what? You are so right. I totally should have told you that. Like, you are fucking 100% right. And I think I did it because I was worried about something with you. And then she says, well, you don't have to worry about that. I was thinking this. And I say, really? Seriously? It's what you were thinking? Yeah. That's why I didn't say that. And I say, oh my God, like, I was afraid of that. That's why I did that. That's why I said that. And so I can apologize, and I can also, even more than apologize, but I can navigate it with her. And then she will be very comfortable. See, girls are angry because guys are very rigid, right? And lying and covering up. And so when it all comes out, they just fall apart emotionally, right? But for me, I can hang, right? Because I built my emotional muscles, and I'm honest with myself in general. So if I am dishonest, I can say, why I was dishonest and what I was thinking and how I feel about it now. I can be like, yeah, I can, I could even go, like, I just think it out, like, theoretically, but I could say, yeah, I can see why you'd hate me now because I really didn't tell you that, and I should have, and here's why I didn't, is because of this. And then the girls, like, they're very touched by a guy who's able to hang with these things. They might still hate me in the end.
Yeah.
But there's a respect because they know that guy, we all have faults, right? Like, nobody's perfect. I mean, come on. Nobody's perfect. So they're like, okay, I'm not perfect. Like, if somebody can never forgive you for not being perfect, there's nothing you can do about that. Because they're not looking at themselves. They can't see themselves. They really can't. Like, everybody's not, like, there's no way. I mean, come on. It's like we're all imperfect. We're doing our best, right? And if you're able to be honest about stuff, and a lot of guys are afraid that girls are going to use everything, but if you do it the right way, and again, this could really send guys in the wrong direction because the right way they might not know, but you slowly build your muscles. And as long as, like for you, you're in Unblackmailable Life, can always come up and say, hey, every time you'll come with like a more better understanding, and you'll be like, okay, I thought about it. Here's what I feel. Here's what she's doing. Here's what I think I should do. What do you think? And then I'll ask a few questions, and then you'll be like, I know what I should do. I know I should do. Here's what I'm going to do, and then just boom, it's just the right thing to do. So you'll build the muscle, and you'll, but it takes time. It really does. These things are, I think in the end, they're kind of like the garlic bread of life. Like, I really do. I think going deeper on stuff, because the strip malls are always going to be there. The traffic, what is it? The ticket giving machine's always going to be there. Like, life is always going to be there, but a lot of it is figuring out the complexity of life from your individual perspective, which is, in the end, that's what it's all about. We live, we experience from our perspective, we grow as much as we can, and then we're gone, right? So, that's life, and I'm open for life. I'm up for life, I'm here. Hard feelings, good feelings, misunderstandings. I can deal, I'm down. I am fucking down. I don't need to be avoiding it. And I'm not here to hurt anybody. Like, I'm not carrying around a bunch of things that I just am going to explode on people and get, like I've dealt with my stuff. And I think that's a lot of it too, is realizing
I
that.
think that is true, man. Yeah.
Right, right. And this type of discussion helps us to face those things too. It's like those experiences in emotion are not just emotion. We're not just we're learning about ourselves and cleaning up our own things and facing our own things. And that gives a confidence. It does. A man who lives his life in this way holds his head up high. And it's not so easy for someone just to say something and destroy him, because the guy's like, he's like, yeah, I mean, I was wrong about that. But like basically, I wasn't trying to do what this person thinks I was trying. I wasn't. Like, I was actually trying to do this other thing, which didn't work. But I mean, that's what I was trying to do. And then I realized I was wrong, and everything. But you're not destroyed because there wasn't some lurking. You know what I mean? You can be proud of yourself. And I think that's the bottom line. So.
Yeah.
That's the end of that one. Let me stop this, because I think the guys will get a lot out of that.